Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, everybody? I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Account for Your Life podcast. Jay Moore, the healthy accountant, helping you to account for your life. And today, here's what we're going to tackle, man. Listen, how I chose a mentor. Man, it's really interesting, and I think you get a kick out of the story. But yeah, how I chose a mentor, and we're gonna jump into that and try to figure out, man, how can we get over the hump? One, if we don't have a mentor, if we should get a mentor. So we're gonna look at three things that happened in my life leading up to actually choosing a mentor, and how that all works. And then maybe you can do it, or maybe this has happened for you, but let's go ahead and jump right into the program. So I was thinking about the last podcast, we were talking about purpose, how I discovered it. And that's a lot of times when it comes to big, impactful things in your life and our lives, then that means that things will start showing up that maybe we didn't realize would show up. And so just to kind of make that a little bit more plain, when you're dealing with your purpose in your life, you should think about this. How is that really going to get revealed? Okay, God's going to reveal it. God does some interesting things. And so one of the things that I discovered along the path of mentorship, I've had many mentors, right? I've chose a lot of mentors. I've chose a lot of people to help me. Just think about it. Like, I'm not sure who you chose. Like, I've got books of a lot of great people, and I've read the books, and man, I was working on the stuff. I had lists. I had note cards with all my mentors' stuff on. I'd be like, oh, yes. Man, if I could glean characteristics or glean things. I'm not trying to be like the mentor. I'm not trying to be like the person. Just they have some characteristics that's fully grown, fully known. And man, if I can kind of glean some of that wisdom, that they're using. I was listening to a program this morning that I would say my current mentor is, and this is not about my current mentor. My current mentor has put out for me and a lot of people. And I was listening to something this morning, and when it comes to what our mentor represents kind of like giftings that maybe we can't see, but they already have them. Think about that. They already have the gifts. They're already experiencing things that we would like. And so I went and looked up the word mentor. Like, what is a mentor? A mentor, think about this. A mentor is somebody you really trust. Trusted advisor. And so when I considered a mentor, I had to trust their words. I had to trust trust the admonition that they may give me, trust the tough love that they could potentially give me. And a lot of times, most of my mentors, most of them I hadn't even met, because, at one point, Tony Robbins was a mentor. I never met Tony Robbins. Well, I met him once. I'm sorry. I did meet Tony Robbins one time. But he don't know anything about me. He's like, I don't know who this Jay Moore guy is. But I got his books. I listened to his videos and programs, and I said I can glean things from Tony Robbins. Now, Tony Robbins is way down the road. Tony Robbins, dude, he was mentored by the mentor of mentors, Jim Rohn. So no one's around. Like the people that got mentored by Jim Rohn. Like, man, I wish I could have had a Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn's gone, and Tony Robbins, but he's so far along that it's a little tough. But you got to take what you can get. I read Think and Grow Rich. You ever read that book? Think and Grow Rich. Man, that's an excellent book. Napoleon Hill, what he talked about, all of that stuff that Napoleon talked about, biblical. He just went to the Bible and got it. Jim Rohn, all the stuff he talks about, biblical, just went to the Bible and got it. And so initially, in choosing a mentor, you just kind of like, you choose but are these the right ones? Now, it was when like yesterday, I talked about this in purpose. It was when I actually yielded. Well, no, not yield yet. It was when I decided to change. So when we decide, think about this, when we decide that change is necessary in our life, then that means that if 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 purpose is already within us, then purpose gets excited. Purpose is like, oh my goodness, finally Jay decided to make a shift. Hopefully he's going to shift into the right direction. Guys, the purpose for our life is programmed within us, and it will come to pass based on the decisions that we make. The purpose for our life is already programmed within us and will come to pass based on the decisions that we make. And so once I made the right decisions to start moving in a direction. Now, here's the thing. It still did not guarantee me to actually discover the purpose and to choose the right mentor. But it was when I yielded. It was when I decided that, you know what? I'm going this direction, but let me go ahead and turn over everything. So when you turn over everything, when I turned over everything, then all of a sudden, I'm talking about something really happened at this point. Because now when you've yielded your life, when I yielded over my life, then now I could actually say, wow, you know what? I can almost see purpose. I can almost see purpose because now things start getting clear. See, there's a saying like in sports, professional or not even just professional. When I played, there was times when you get in a zone. Like if you play basketball, if you play football, no matter what it is, whatever sport, whatever thing you do, there's times when you just get in the zone. And I remember, the school I went to, the name was Columbia Union College. They're known as Washington Adventist University now. But I went there and I was the starting point guard. And so that year, my first year, we went to the national championship. We went to the national, the national tournament. No, we weren't in the championship. We was in the national tournament. And so we didn't win. But now we did win our division. Like we won our district to get there. So we got a banner. But when we came back, it was like basketball slowed down for me. It was almost like I was coming into something. I was like, oh my goodness. I remember my brother Reggie was like, he says, Jay, I'm telling you, he says, man, it was like nobody could stop you. It was crazy. It was like the whole game slowed down. I was doing things that I was like, I was jumping higher. The moves were fluid. I could see things before they happened. Now, remember, I told the story about my freshman year. My freshman year when I hit the game winner and I could see that I was going to make this shot even before, I was going to make the shot even before I took it. Everything starts slowing down. Purpose is the same way. All of a sudden, you start seeing things that you never saw before. Wow, it looks like that's the right path to go on. So when you decide to change, when I decided to change, when I yielded my life, all of a sudden purpose showed up. Now, this is where mentor comes in, and it's critical because now I'm living in my purpose, or at least I'm moving towards it. You're going to need the right person to help you steward the direction that you have to go in now. And this is what I love about this process. Even though it seemed like I chose the mentor, I did not choose the mentor. The mentor was hand selected by my king, by the person that I yielded my life to. I yielded my life over to God. And because I yielded my life over to God, then he hand selected the perfect mentor. Who's this perfect mentor? Dr. Miles Monroe is the perfect mentor based on who it is that I had to be, based on who it is and the purpose that I was created for. All of a sudden, he showed up 2019 January. I'm just doing my thing. And all of a sudden, this voice. Guys, have you ever heard a voice and just said to yourself, man, that voice, there's something about that voice. That voice, man, I need that. I need more of that voice. And I was saying, I need more of the voice. Like, who was this person? It was, it's kind of like, Eric Thomas talks about this in his book, UOU. And he was talking about how when he was young and he was, he didn't know anything about this E.T., the hip hop preacher. But for some reason, whenever he heard certain types of people talking, he just gravitated. Howard Cosell and, Walter Cronkite and all of the great news people. He would just be listening because their voices were teaching him something about himself. What they were teaching him is that he had a voice and that his voice would be his superpower. Eric Thomas's voice is a superpower. Look, the content, look, at the end of the day, we can all have the same content, but if it's not said through his voice, it won't be heard the same way. I could say the same exact things as Eric Thomas and it won't be heard. It won't be heard the same way because he has a certain sound. His frequency, guys, we all are working on a frequency. Now I've done podcasts on this and I'm not going to get too deep on the frequency, but the frequency at which we operate is what yields the results, that we're seeking. I want you to think about the frequency. I want you to think about a radio station. A radio station operates on the frequency. And so when you go to most people don't even listen to the radio right now, but if you did listen to the radio, you'd have to turn to a channel. Like there's a channel, WGTS here in Maryland. That's the channel. That's the Christian station that was on my college. That's on my college campus, and they only play Christian music. They only play the type of music that people of a Christian origin would want to hear. But then you go just a little bit up, 92.3, I believe. That's more hip hop. That's a different frequency. There's going to be a different sound. That means that I'm looking for something totally different on that frequency. And what happens is our voices are the same way. The way that we say something, the pitch of our voice. Like the pitch of my voice is saying something to somebody. Somebody would hear my voice and say, Jay, oh my goodness, it's your voice. Someone left me a message on YouTube about a month ago. They says, Jay, it's just the sound of your voice. Just at the conference that I was just at last week, Barry is she's the event coordinator for the conference. She does the events for all of the top people, Tony Robbins. And she says to me, she says, Jay, your voice. It has this calming yet powerful pitch. So guys, everybody has a voice. One of the things that I discovered in finding a mentor is the fact that when I found my mentor, my voice changed. Guys, I'm not telling you the pitch of my voice changed. I'm telling you what was coming out of my voice changed. Because now the mentor had showed me something about himself, but showed me something about myself that then confirmed what was already on the inside. And because then it's now confirmed on what's on the inside, then all of a sudden my voice changed, which means that the frequency, the pitch changed. The rate in which I started to speak changed. The words that I would choose change. Why? Because now I chose this mentor, but the mentor was hand selected. The mentor, guys, when you get the right mentor, the mentor is hand selected. You didn't choose. See, even though how I chose my mentor, I didn't choose them. I wish I could say that because, man, if I would have known, I could have chose Dr. Miles Monroe many years ago. If I knew that Dr. Miles was my mentor back when I was in college, I could have started reading his books. I could have taken a trip to the Bahamas. I probably would have moved to the Bahamas. I ain't lying. I probably would have moved to Bahamas. I probably would have joined Bahamas Faith. And I probably would have, hey man, can I be a deacon here? Can I be an elder here? Hey, can I be right next to you? I would have personally, if I knew that guy would have been my mentor, I would have made sure I got all the time in that I could before he left this earth. That's not how it works. See, because there's an old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I was ready. I was ripe. See, the way God does things, guys, and I'm going to let you go in a couple minutes. The way God does things, here's what God does. God says, he's going to be exposed to a lot of things, but you know, I can't expose him to what I really like to expose him to yet. Because if I expose him to it, if I expose him to it too early, oh, he may not understand it. Guys, have you ever been exposed to something and you're like, but then years later you say, man, why didn't I do that? Oh my goodness, that was right there. Because when you're exposed to something early and you're not ready, like a mentor, then what happens is you don't see the value until it's time. And so God made you, even though God gave me a wink. God winked at me when it came to Dr. Mouse. Here's what God did. He put a book in my office that my wife was given 2 years before I met Dr. Miles on YouTube. Put a book in my office. It was, well, you can't see it now, but I had a bookcase right over here. I'm still remodeling my office. That's why there's nothing in here. I had a bookcase right over here. And it was interesting because his book was on the bookcase. Someone had given it to my wife. And I saw his face. It was the character of leadership. I believe that's the name of it. The character of leadership. And it's sitting right there. I didn't pick it up because even though the teacher was there, I was not ready. So one of the takeaways that we can take from today's podcast is this. One, we want to make sure we have changed. We want to make sure we've decided to change. That's the first thing. Then second, we want to make sure that we've yielded our life over to the King. hopefully you are yielded over to the right King, right? So yield your life over to the King, because then when you yield your life over to the King, then the King's going to show you purpose, right? Then all of a sudden you're going to get that purpose pull. Now sometimes you may have the mentor already there. Now, if that was the case, then that's awesome. But in my case, the mentor hadn't showed up yet. At least the right one, the perfect one. So those three things happened for me first. I was moving towards my purpose, and then all of a sudden, bam, the mentor showed up. I thought I chose him, but I didn't. The mentor was hand selected based on who I am. So I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what change you have to make or what change you would like to make. And then I want you to think about, man, am I fully yielded? Am I fully yielded to the Father? Am I fully yielded to the King? Because if I'm not fully yielded, then that just means I need to get fully yielded, because the King makes all the decisions for us. Yeah. See, in the kingdom, guys, listen, we don't actually get to run our lives. The King gets to tell us exactly what to do, which is kind of cool, because that means that the King got to take care of us, which is perfect. And then you'll get aligned with your purpose. Once you're aligned with your purpose, once I was aligned with my purpose, my mentor showed up. I chose the mentor, but the mentor was hand selected, Dr. Miles. And then from there, I had to do what the mentor said to do. The mentor said, you need to change how you think. That was the first thing he said. Change how you think. And I've been changing how I think every single day, rediscovering who I am in God, rediscovering who Christ is within me, rediscovering that the Holy Spirit is the connection to Christ. Because if we don't have the connection through the Holy Spirit, then we'll lose the connection to Christ. And if we lose the connection to Christ, then we lose the connection to God. Guys, your mentor, you may already have them. But if you don't, I don't know, you can try going in that order possibly, but maybe you've already done a couple. Then that means that you're moving towards purpose. Keep going. Your mentor is right there. And when you find the mentor, just do whatever the mentor says, because the mentor, as we discovered, is a trusted advisor, and that's someone that you would basically just kind of like turn over your thoughts for theirs. So, guys, I thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Account for Life podcast. Hey, what's going on, Brittany? What's going on, Carrie? Good to see you guys today. I'm the Healthy Accountant helping you to account for your life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.